Impendia is on the brink of war as panic sweeps through the continent after a gang of raiders mercilessly kill and ravage the land. The Emperor of Pavia is dead following an unsuccessful surgery by 3 blind deaf surgeons, and new alliances in Elenarith spring up from unlikely places. All this and more tonight on the Imperial Times. This is the Imperial Times, bringing to you the most reliably trustworthy updates from all around CivMC, Minecraft's largest civilization server. I'm your host Cody. Let's take a look at what's going on this hour. Panic sweeps across the world as a gang of raiders known as the Bandits are causing merciless destruction up north, down east, and even in the west. Here's the true actor to explain the situation.
Soggy Hobo, or more commonly recognized as the leader of the newly coined Bandits, is back on the loose. He and his 2 other confirmed allies, Dotson Israini and Zybekabir, have been wreaking havoc on the citizens of different nations. The biggest and most impactful of which being Winterborn, a raid being led by Soggy Hobo trapped the princess and pearled 5 other different ASN members: Cadis Study, Brado Tomato, Esdor, Chilfrey Sigibald, and DS Bulldogs. However, they were freed upon an individual named Toaxbis. The Imperial Times was able to get a statement from him on how and why he decided to take such an enormous and heroic risk.
Thank you, Troop. The following audio that you'll be hearing is an interview between me and Toax himself. So, Mr. Toax, why did you do what you did that day?
I don't think I'm the best person for this specific backstory of them. I didn't do it because I didn't like them, I did it because it was funny. Let's make that clear. I have no vendetta against them.
So the only reason that you went against them was because it was funny, not because you wanted to help everybody. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was funny.
No, that's alright.
I just thought it was really funny. I know this doesn't make for a great script, but it's true. It was really funny.
Well, thank you, Mr. Toax. Well, back to you now, Troop.
Thanks, Cody. Soggy Hobo is ex-Icenian and Icarian. He has had previous issues with them, although none were able to be disclosed at this time. Dawson Israini is also ex-Icarian, and Zybekabir is ex-Estalian. All of these players have left their nations to commit themselves to a life of crime. Yesterday, the Bandits were caught destroying a memorial in Winterborn dedicated to a deceased player known as No One True Punk. Their tirade hasn't only been limited to Winterborn. Many nations, such as Chalcedonia and Impendia, have gotten caught in the crossfire of the chaos. Many of these nations were placed on lockdown by their leaders. Not only are the residents of the eastern continent on high alert for the Bandits, but the same goes for up north in Impedia, a continent on the brink of war. In the case of an oncoming attack, we have someone by the name of Sloth in a Suit to give us some pointers. He mentions that if you see any of the Bandits, run. Run until you find help. Or, worst case scenario, you meet your untimely death. Finally, I was able to interview another skilled PvPer by the name of Top Hat Alex. Here is what he has to say. In the current time that we have now, where the Bandits could strike at any time in any place, what would the average person what should they have to try and protect themselves in case of an emergency to either escape or fight themselves or fight off?
Well, they should probably have the minimal of a god sword, which I mentioned it's sharpness 5 and yada yada yada. A stack of pearls just in case, and probably speed buff, strength buff, fire res, and regen is optional. It's just a small boost.
All right. So, what would you say for city builders to do currently? How would, in a dire situation like this, what would you say that the city builders do to quickly protect themselves and protect their city?
If they have a snitch network, if they have a snitch network, they should probably consider, dropping their stuff and run to nearby ASN nation, like SPQR, for example. Currently, Bela and Winterborn is not safe to visit because they are the most active there.
What would you say for, the world leaders and the leaders of different small or even huge nations that could potentially be watching this? What would you say that they do?
I'd say, please get your men together and please start actually solving this situation. We cannot risk any more innocent lives being lost and more loot being transferred to their pockets.
Alright, thank you. Top Hat Alex is also one of many elite bounty hunters employed by the Alliance of the Sea. Throughout the last few weeks, the Eastern Alliance has begun to ramp up its efforts in cracking down on raiders such as the Bandits. Here's Cody on the ATS Crackdowns.
Thanks, Troop. It just seems that us civvies can't catch a break, as last Wednesday night 3 raiders identified as Longonis, Begfrost 919 and Bellabutt Nugget were pelled by the Alliance of the Sea, following numerous murders and griefs. Longonis, the leader of the group, was previously imprisoned for pelling the rule of Yuan. However, in the middle of serving his sentence, jailers had forgotten to fuel his pail, leading to him breaking out in early July. In the wake of his escape, numerous ATS nations would see an uptick in murders, with Aniso being hit the hardest with a full-on grief in its capital. A bounty of 250 diamonds was placed upon Longonis' head, and he and his associates were promptly captured just this Wednesday by a combined ATS force. Longonis will now be facing a harsher sentence in the Nether, with associates paying heavy reparations for their actions. Next up, we've got some news from over in the southeast in the Iris Covenant. The capital of the Iris Covenant, Chronosia, is now linked to the I-1 Desk network, meaning you can visit the Iris Covenant with ease. This is a great development as Alenarith continues to modernize and become more connected by the day. Moreover, the IC is now collaborating with Eldoria and Truidencia in a high-speed overland rail line between Chronosia and Nidaros. This new line will provide easy access to Yordle through Nidaros once completed, a super useful addition that will no doubt increase connectivity between the two continents. Amicitia, a great ally of the IF, is preparing for a special event, the first anniversary of its founding on July 16th. The celebrations will start on July 20th at 9:30 GMT. The day will begin with honored guests arriving at the castle, including representatives from various nations across the server, allies and all, Amicitians. The event will open with an address and award ceremony by King Bluebox, followed by a speech and reflection on the year by Prime Minister Corman. To conclude the night, there will be a party at the nation's pub, Bunker Knob, featuring celebration wine, Amicitian lager, and a newly discovered brew, Erie Irish Whiskey. All who wish to join or watch the celebration are welcome to. The nation of Truidencia has signed a mutual defensive pact with Eldoria. This move comes as an effort to better relations between the two countries. Truidencia is a mid-sized nation residing in the southeastern corner of the world. The two nations are planning a rail line between their cities, as well as possible military cooperation. The pact sends a message of friendship between the two countries. Once again, another win for the developing region of Alenarith. Monument Group is one of the largest businesses on the server. Recently, they published their quarterly earnings report, which declared the growth of their business. Monument Group runs Monument Bank, which is by far the largest bank on the server, as well as many stores around the map, selling a variety of goods. Some key highlights from the financial report. Monument Group recorded its highest ever revenue of 19,585 diamonds, up 25% from last quarter and over 267% from last year. Monument Group recorded its highest ever income of 11,064 diamonds, up 28.26% from last quarter and over 168% from last year. They also surpassed 160,000 diamonds in total assets. Monument Bank reached 339 clients and nearly 120,000 diamonds in deposits, their highest ever. Moreover, it was a great quarter for Monument Group shareholders as their earnings per share rose to around 11 diamonds, and their shareholder equity was also the highest ever. Reasons for the large growth of Monument Group mostly stems from the large amount of locations opened in other countries recently. There are branches close to nearly every nation on the server, and the Imperial Federation even has 2 branches. Speaking of Pavia, the King of Pavia has just been pronounced dead after a failed surgery by 3 blind, deaf, and mute surgeons. I don't know how they got their job. Anyways, He has now been succeeded by Seeking of Griffin. We are excited to see what he brings to the table on the Pavian throne. Anyways, this has been the Imperial Times, reporting to you from the heart of the great city of Withervale. We will be back with you next week.